Former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik joins me in a moment. Also, University professor Dr. Wendy Osefo and HUD Secretary Ben Carson, all standing by tonight to weigh in on this. We begin with the former police commissioner, Bernie Kerik. Good to have you with us tonight. Your
Thanks,
thoughts on the charges as they came down this afternoon in this case?
Well, you know what, Martha? I know a number of detectives down in Atlanta. I've spoken to them, including some people that works in Howard's office, the DA's office. And I think Ted Williams, he must know them too, because two of the words he said, these guys have told me consistently, overcharging and a rush to judgment. That's what they're saying down there. They're also concerned that there was no grand jury indictment. They used grand jury subpoenas with no grand jury impaneled. There was no GBI report. And there's one thing I want to bring up, Martha, that I think is very important here. It was clear by the press conference today that Howard insisted that the deadly force used against Brooks was not justified because a taser is not a deadly weapon. Well, 2 weeks ago, he charged 6 Atlanta police officers with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He charged them, and the deadly weapon was a taser.
Now, you're referring to the case where the 2 college students were pulled out of the car?
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
All right. Well, that's interesting, because we clearly heard him say today that he believes that is not a deadly weapon, because you see in the video how Mr. Brooks turned and pointed the taser, which he had taken off of Officer Rolfe, and turned around and pointed it at him. What do you say, though, to the criticism that, as Mayor Keisha Bottoms says, this incident, when you watch the whole thing through, it begins very calmly. She says this could have ended differently, and she blames the officers for the fact that it didn't. She says they had opportunities to apprehend him peacefully, and that it could have ended with him still alive.
You know what, Martha? I don't think they could have attempted to arrest him any more peacefully than they did. If you watch the video, the body cams from start to finish, they were cooperative. They were professional. They were courteous. They were nice. Everything under the sun until they went to put handcuffs on him. And look, I personally believe, this guy was a violent felon, had a number of different charges over the years, including aggravated assault and others. And I think he may have been on probation. And if that's the case, he knew when they put handcuffs on him, he's going to go back to prison. So I think at that point, he made a decision. He's going to fight. He resisted. He assaulted. He attacked. He took their weapon. He basically took the weapon right out of the cop's hand and then took off. And at some point in time, he attempted to shoot the cop with the taser. And the cop returned fire.
What about before the altercation begins and before he's handcuffed? Because they had already ascertained that he didn't have a weapon on him, and what he had done, he according to the reports, he fell asleep in his car in the drive-through area in Wendy's and was intoxicated, based on their assessment. He said, I'll just lock off my car and I'll walk to my sister's house. She lives right around here. Why not just let him do that?
Well, you know what? I don't know what the policies are in Atlanta for that, but keep in mind, both of these cops have body cams on. I don't know if they have an arrest policy. It's a mandatory arrest for DUI. I don't know, but I would bet that that's probably the case, and they're not allowed to have him walk off after he's been driving. They're not allowed to take the keys or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but I would have somebody look at it.
What about just one more thing that I heard the DA bring up today? He said that on the video, you can see that one of the officers put his foot on Mr. Brooks' arm on the ground after he had been shot. He said officers have a duty to help, and he questioned why that was the action taken. What do you say about that?
Honestly, Martha, I watched the videos, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I didn't really see that, but if it happened in the heat of the moment, you're trying to keep the guy on the ground, you want to keep him down. I can't explain it, and here's the bottom line. There should have been a thorough investigation. There should have been a grand jury investigation.
Well, that's
the
a good
officers
point.
should have been talked to.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says that they were surprised by this news conference today by the DA, and that they haven't finished their investigation into all of this. So that's a very good point here as well.
And so was people in his office, actually. They were surprised.
Bernie Kerik, former police commissioner of New York City, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight.